Hello and welcome to the James Granstrom podcast, Super Soul Model Series. In this episode, I'm speaking to CEO and founder of Breathe, one of Marbella's top dining restaurants.
Oh, that's nice.
And with its sister company, Soul. I'm speaking to the CEO and founder, Aguilene Benicio.
Yep.
And what makes this episode so inspiring is because Aguilene's mission is one of conscious leadership, and the way she's also changing the face of the restaurant industry. So welcome to the Super Soul Model Series.
Thank
Aguilene.
you. Thank you for inviting me for this. It's always nice to express a bit, what we are doing in relating to business.
Yeah.
And for me, personally, the base of the business being my intuition from day one.
Yeah.
I believe the success is be able to somehow help living beings and nature. And I have always been very lucky to have this good flair of communication with people.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about how your journey began. Because before you create these beautiful restaurants that you have in Marbella, and if you don't know, Marbella is a beautiful little town in southern Spain, and it's not tropical, but it sure feels like paradise here. And what Aguilene has created is this beautiful few restaurants in this area, particularly this one that we're in today, which is Breathe.
Thank you.
It's got this lovely blend of nature mixed with modern chic, mixed with elegance, and it's renowned for its great service. But what started you on this journey?
Well, before Breeze, I did work for the hospitality industry in Marbella, starting from the very bottom. And ever since the beginning, I always have this natural flair and very easy way of communicating with people. Basically, this natural thing about public relations and marketing. I always loved marketing, it was my passion.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, just being in the right place, and then I got to know the investor, and I had my other business partner involved, so I had the right people and the right moment to start something. And it's funny because everything got synchronized from the beginning, like it's a sort of movement, universal flow where things start to come together. In the beginning, the idea wouldn't be to open such a big place, but eventually...
So how many square meters is this restaurant? Because it is very big. And for the guys on YouTube, I'm going to just show you the size of the restaurant we're dealing with. But
the whole building is about close to 5,000.
Wow.
Because we have, parking from 111 cars. We also have a large machinery room downstairs where we have our sustainable machinery where we heat the building in the cold months and we can cool it for the hot months.
Yeah.
So we have geothermal systems. We also do our water purification. So every water that you drink at Breeze, we have the osmosis systems that we clean the water here. We have a storage where we store the water from the rain and also what's left, the wastage from the osmosis. It's about 11,000 liters. And with this water, we then use for the irrigation system of our 8,000 plants that we have here. So with
You've got 8,000 plants in the restaurant?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we planted in between small and large trees, and we have a massive vertical garden here, another one in air, another one on the street.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of meters of vertical garden that we have our own source of water for watering those plants as well.
So amazing hearing all of these sort of things that you're doing, like with the water and not wasting anything. But what I wanted to know was what actually led you to on this journey of leadership, because before you actually set this place up, there had to be something within you that was driving you. So just tell us a little about your background so we can understand, like the audience can understand what drives a person to want to create something that's successful, but also with a bit of heart, because that's what you created here.
Well, coming from Brazil, I've always been very attached to nature. And then coming to Spain, in the beginning, I did work for the hospitality industry. And I remember when I got into the realization of Breathe, I had the venue, we have the investor, and I was thinking, it was something inside of me saying, oh, something connected with the four natural elements, something connected with nature, because you have a large venue, and you know, obviously the idea was to have a large and busy venue, and from my heart I said, oh, it must be something to do with nature. I mean, people love nature. At the time I didn't really have the idea of the tree planting yet. But little by little, I started getting sort of impulses. Oh, nature, oh, the four natural elements, the water, the fire, the air, the earth, and then came into the actual execution of the project.
Right.
And then somehow the whole circumstance started putting people on front of me, like one of the main builders say, oh, maybe the geothermal systems can be good. And then we went to visit geothermal system constructions in Barcelona, and we start learning about the geothermal. And then I said, okay, maybe we should try it. In the beginning, it was a bit challenging, but because a lot of people, they don't understand this concept in Marbella, you know. But
what you're talking about, the concept of like using energy,
yes,
and sort of cultivating and recycling energy.
Yes, exactly.
So recycling energy, whilst there's a good recycling system in like taking out the trash and the basura here in Spain, it's different necessarily within business, within industry, particularly in the restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. This is why I find you really interesting to speak with, because what is your reason why that you wanted to do this? Because I can tell straight away that you love the creativity, coming up with the ideas, creating the architecture, thinking how it's going to look. I can tell when, if you sit here with Aguilene, you can just tell it's radiating that.
Yeah,
but there has to be a real reason underneath. Why did you want to do it?
I believe success is be able to help community, support community living beings in general, obviously including nature.
Yeah.
And somehow, as we started the business, something that in the beginning I have a very strong intuition inside of me, but I didn't realize where we're going in regards on the size of the sustainable approaches and even the venue. It started to come, the answers start to come on the path, and then you do something, you feel good, and then you implement that system, and the team appreciates it. And I think it was a combination of a synchronization of a lot of people together going to the same direction. I believe the whole sustainable approach of Breathe was obviously the intention from day one, but we started to learn a lot on our path, and we're still learning. We're still learning a lot, and it's not something that, okay, we do the tree planting, we do the geothermal systems, we do all the sustainable approaches, but that is something that is constantly improving. You can do more and more and more every day. But just to answer your question, I believe from day one, the idea of creating a very successful venue, a very large venue, was somehow have much more than a restaurant, have pass on a message, a message where people can then become better and better, and they can get inspired, starting from the clients, from the staff. And all of this creates a sort of synchronization of energy, where somehow people feel it, the staff feel it, they work happier. The clients, they feel, as soon as they come in, they feel, oh, it's something about this place, because having a meaning for the business is what I believe is the key of the success.
I love that. There has to be some sort of meaning.
Yeah.
So many times I've sort of like look at what drives people, the people that I interview or the people that I work with, and it's so fun and interesting to see the reason why they want to do it. It's kind of, I want to do it for bigger than just making profit. It's got to have meaning. It's got to affect the people.
I think it comes down to everything in life, you know, even when you have a relationship or a friendship or whatever you do, you know, everything when becomes meaningful becomes powerful.
Yeah.
And then I believe as this, having a very meaningful concept, you know, a strong concept and an identity.
Yeah.
I believe that was the idea from day one, to create something meaningful and with a very strong identity, that then from that basis, from that core, it's much easier to be successful.
For sure. So how would you say that your style of leadership has evolved? You know, how's it, you know, how long has the restaurant been open for?
About 6 years now.
Okay. And how would you say Aguilene has evolved in her leadership style? Because you are kind of a bit of a matriarch to the restaurant and to the community to a certain extent, which is great. But how do you feel like you've evolved as a human being? Because there's one thing to be, you know, an identity where you're the, you know, the leader or the CEO of the business. But there's another thing where you're like, people are looking up to me. So you've got to hold your own level of integrity and all the other values.
For me nowadays, with the experience I have today, I would say 2 words.
Okay.
Authenticity, being true with yourself, express who you are, and then you create a real thing, and the people, they get inspired by it. And it's much easier to then influence the team or the clientele when you are being yourself. So
do you ever feel like you haven't been yourself when you've walked in? Or maybe at the beginning
was very hard. I wouldn't say I haven't been myself, but you get so busy and you get so lost in so much work, starting from the construction, and then it was a very stressful period during the construction.
How long did it take to build this building?
About 2 years.
Okay, yeah, it's a massive building.
And when you're creating something innovative, the hardest part is to try to drag that synchronicity of people, that you need all the people to help you, to put them in the same direction, with the same vision as you. Especially in Marbella. Marbella is still a small place, a village. When you're dealing with the administration, they don't really understand where you're going with your mind, you know, creating something innovative. Oh my God, a sustainable building in Marbella. You know? So something that it was a bit challenging then.
Sure.
So that obviously takes a lot of energy from you. And then after 2 years of construction, we open our doors, we 100 something staff working for us, you know, people learning where everything is, learning their way around, and then you have to be on top of everything, the quality of the service and the food.
Because there are 3 floors.
Well, we started here first.
Yeah.
And then the second one was ground, and then the third one air.
So the ground is the restaurant or the cafe.
Yes.
And then the air is the
sky bar. It's like an open nightclub.
Amazing.
So that was very challenging. But yes, answering your question, I believe authenticity is very important, and also being human, you know, like because it doesn't matter how much we invest in a business. The key players here, the most important part of the business, are the human beings. And I guess I feel very lucky that I started from the bottom, so I completely understand, you know, workers that starting or learning or you know, it's much easier for me to understand their needs. You know?
Do you mean you feel like you can put yourself in the shoes of like each level of
100%,
perhaps of, you know, the people that work?
100%, you know, and you understand because you've been there.
Yeah.
It's not the same when you learn something, when you know something that you saw, but when you have been there, it's much easier to understand. So yeah, I think it's important to be able to inspire people, but at the same time understand their needs.
Sure. Because when we meet other people's needs, it's kind of like your needs get met as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Because happy staff, no doubt, creates a happy product or a happy service, doesn't it?
So yes, it's all, absolutely, because you're gonna invest in marketing. You're gonna, improve. You're gonna have an amazing dish or a beautiful selection of wine, but the final connection with your client is your staff.
Yeah.
So they are the most important thing, the most important part of the business.
Now, there's another part of your business that I'm fascinated by, because I met actually Aguilene in a breathwork session.
Yes.
So we were both looking to help ourselves by doing some breathwork, and I had a previous someone I interviewed a while back, and he was our teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And what I found fascinating was at the end of that breathwork session, I leant over and I was looking at the people in the room, and I just felt like, I must speak to this lady. And we ended up having a conversation. And this leads me to why we're sitting here today, actually.
Yeah.
And it's your passion for how you're giving back in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And this I find really inspiring. And it just shows me like the cycle of how we can really contribute and give back when we're succeeding. And it's just this beautiful cycle.
Yeah.
And it's about your passion. For being able to give back by planting trees. Tell us a little bit about that and how that works with your business and how you even came into that in the first place.
Yeah, well, when we started, because of the philosophy of the business and the concepts.
With a name like Breathe.
So somehow everything was already orchestrated by the universe, but I started to learn day by day a little bit.
Sure.
In the beginning, with our concept, this identity, we started to work with EPOS system. It's basically the system that you use for sales.
What's it called?
EPOS.
EPOS, the one from Australia and New Zealand originally?
Well, not that, but it's a type of EPOS. What we do is the sales system. It's called Lightspeed.
Okay.
Lightspeed. And somehow Lightspeed said, we're doing this project, carbon-free dining.
Right.
Would you like to participate? And we start to investigate about it and learning about it. I got to know Marvin Baker, which is the founder.
Okay.
And then
what nationality is Marvin Baker?
He's British.
Oh, he's British, okay.
So we started from day one, support this project.
Okay.
And and now we're still doing 6 years later, and we just reached the milestone of planting 80,000 trees.
Amazing.
Last week.
Yeah. Fantastic. And whereabouts are you planting those trees for the audience so that they have?
We have in developing countries. Okay. We've done in Tanzania. We're still doing some in Tanzania, but now we're starting a very large project, support a very large project in Senegal.
Okay.
In Senegal. So that is very exciting, because for me it's like that intuition, that thing telling me that, you're only starting. And for me, if you tell me where I want to go, as I want to look back one day and be responsible for the planting of millions of trees.
Lovely.
That's where I'm going.
So there's certain proceeds of your business that goes to planting trees. Is that's how it's going? Yeah.
What we do when the clients they order the bill, we add €1.25 in the bill, optional, and the clients can then plant a tree with that donation. Some clients they ask to plant more, and we also have a independent site where people can access and donate more tree, which is breezegifttrees.com. People can access and they can choose the amount of trees, the type of trees, and they can donate. They can find in the Google map where the trees are, and
you can see that your tree is actually being planted.
Yes,
that's amazing.
You can actually get on the flight and fly and go and see your tree.
So what I will do on this episode, I'll just make sure that we have the link in there, so that if you are inspired, as I am, to plant some trees, and then you can see that your tree is actually being done, because that's actually quite an important part. Because there's one thing to have this goodwill to say, I'm I want to plant it. But it's
Yeah.
also quite nice to see the evidence that it's actually being done.
Absolutely, and
And then
follow up, and
you've,
follow up.
yeah, and you've contributed to that.
Yeah.
There's something quite beautiful about that.
It's amazing. Like, it's the same thing when, like, for example, I have a little small avocado tree in my garden,
Right.
and I planted about 2 years ago. Oh, it's a baby tree. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a few years. You know how it is. The soil here in Spain is
Yeah.
very dry. It takes a bit of time. The other day I was sitting in the garden about a month ago, and I look at the tree, and I saw 4 avocados hanging in the tree. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got my source of avocados now, you know? Like, the tree is still a baby, but I know in 1 or 2 years' time, I'm gonna have that source of avocados.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just because we are part of it, no? Like, 'cause a lot of times the humans, they don't realize, they disconnect themselves with everything it is. But in reality, we are a part of all this force, and we are integrated to it. That's why when we do something like this, when we plant a tree, instantly we feel better.
So basically, when have you actually felt that feeling? Because this is really important for the audience. When you do something good,
Yeah.
you can actually feel that feeling inside of
Absolutely.
you.
For me, for example, I think as I mentioned in the beginning, I keep persisting on this, like the success is be able to helping humans, which I include in the living beings,
Yeah.
and nature,
Yeah.
be able to support that. That is what success is for me. And like, just to answer to your question, for me, wake up in the morning, think, okay, I've got this beautiful business, I've got this over 200 people working for this company. We receive close to 300,000 visitors every year. Okay, this is great, but it became an institution. It became a tool for something much bigger.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is what inspires me, and makes my heart jump. And so,
Do you think that some of the guests that come for the most amazing food here, by the way, do you think that some of the guests actually know the philosophy?
well, I think a lot of them
Because that's
do.
come from you, right? So the philosophy comes from you, your idea, but then you're like, right, do the people that actually come and enjoy the exquisite food here, and it is exquisite, do they know what they're contributing to?
I think a lot of we are very, very fortunate, because we do have a very strong local clientele.
Yeah.
So people who've been here for 20 times, or like local professionals, people that live in Marbella. But of course, we also have the tourists, people who don't know Marbella. They came here, and obviously we are in a good location.
Because in the summer it's absolutely packed all the time, non-stop.
Yeah. So I guess a lot of people, they don't have the time to have that education.
Yeah.
But I believe more and more people are getting to know our philosophy. And as the time passes, with my ambition of planting more and more trees, I'm sure we're gonna always make more and more noise about it.
Yeah. I know you all make some noise about it.
Yeah.
So what do you think the future of the business is? I know like the trees are important, but what do you think the future is of what would you like your legacy to be more of now? Because it's quite, I guess I want to reframe the question a little bit. Being a leader, you're also a mum. How do you manage all of this? How do you manage sort of the 200 people? How do you manage, being a mum at the same time?
Yeah.
How do you manage to take care of yourself? Because you do have to take care of your wellness.
100%. Balance. I think that's the word. I mean, obviously we are a boss here. You wanna have the action, make things happen.
Yeah.
Also, I feel very, very privileged to have an incredible team. Because this is the future of the business. I believe the team, because we have people with extreme potential here, people who demonstrate that they can do a lot more that initially we thought they could. I mean, we give them the opportunity, and people always surprise you. The balance, I mean, you have to have the action and be the boss here, of course, but then I'm still a woman. I still have my vulnerability.
For sure.
I have my partner, I have my daughter, so at home I want my partner to put the fire on and pour me a glass of wine or a cup of tea, or, I want to keep that vulnerability as well at home. I want to be a mom. I want to spend time with my daughter. I want to read bed stories with her, So you have to have that balance and understand that, okay, now is the time for this, now is the time for that, now is the time for me to turn off my phone. I want to go to my Pilates session, I think it's important to make a plan and understand where and how you're going to devote your energy. People call this time management. I would call energy management.
That's a good one. Yeah, because managing your energy is essential to your well-being, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're low on it, so when you have a low energy day, how do you come back from that? Because this is great for leaders, right? So people aspiring to be, leaders, maybe even
meditation.
Women.
Meditation is very important. Okay. Once you have that noise and you're not feeling well, you stop. Okay, I'm gonna stop now for 20 minutes, and I'm gonna have this moment for me. I'm gonna take my shoes off. I'm gonna walk on the grass. I'm gonna connect a little bit with myself, with nature, and let's reset. Because if you are having that bad day and you're confused, and if you keep going without reboot, normally it only gets worse.
For sure.
So
it's not. So did you realize that early in the business, or did it take you some challenges?
No. We've been to challengings, not only business challenges. We all go through life challenges as well. But that's the beauty of taking that opportunity of having challenges and get those little pieces of you and put it together and come back and rebuild yourself again.
Can I just say, I really love the way that you've used the word challenge with opportunity, because sometimes we look at them and just go, oh no, but you actually see it as like an opportunity to rebuild, to recreate.
100%. I mean, I think like anything really, sometimes you need that little push to get out of your comfort zone. And I believe challenges in life is at the moment you don't see it. Why me, and why I'm living this, and why is this happening? And after a while you realize that without the circumstances you wouldn't direct your journey into a much more successful and much more powerful path. It's a very strong sentence from Oprah saying, turn your wounds into wisdom, And it's important because without knowing the dark, how can you appreciate the light, So this is important, because the fact that you everything's okay and you're not going to any challenges or anything's going wrong doesn't mean it's not going wrong, I think it's important to see the challenges as an opportunity, and we all go, and I don't believe that any human being that doesn't go through challenges, we all
100%
get there one way or the other.
So what would you like your legacy to be? What are you working on creating a legacy for yourself?
Well, I want to plant as much trees as I can, and I want to help as many human beings as I can. Like when you ask about the future of the business, I'm not sure exactly where we're going, or what I can say. I know we're going in an incredible direction, because we have this synchronicity of incredible human beings working together with us, who a lot of them, I can see them becoming very successful in life, and I'm very grateful they are here, because I know that I'm going to witness a lot of them doing extremely well, hopefully with us, but they're going to do well anyway. So I guess this is our future, our team, and I can see us going very far because of this powerful energy we get from them.
Lovely. Yeah. Well, Aguilene, it's been amazing speaking with you today. And I just wanted to say, have you got any last words that you'd like to share you know, with the people tuning in today, is there something that you think that you know, a message that you could share with the audience that would perhaps leaving them in a more optimistic, inspired place?
Yeah, well, being a woman and being a leader, I've learned that my most powerful tool is my intuition. So a lot of times you think, oh, this is right, I should do that, and then maybe you have somebody say, no, you should do this, you should, especially when you're dealing with so many people.
Sure.
And eventually you always realize that intuition was the truth, because I believe the intuition is a tool that the universal forces give to you for you to use to lead you to the right direction. So what I can say is, like, your intuition is powerful, so make sure you're always there for it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me today. You're this week's Super Soul.
Thank you. That's very nice. It's been very privileged. Thank you very much.